Hey everybody, it's Nuke out in Vegas, and this week what we're going to be doing is we're going to go on a home inspection. As a matter of fact, I just did this sucker today, and we got some really important points to go over. Big ones we're going to start talking about right now. I've always said you can waive a home inspection but still get the home inspection done. We didn't waive this home inspection, but we had it done, and it came back with some interesting things, so much so that the buyers are canceling today. So we want to go through these things so you can think about these and make sure that you have the perfect home for yourself. Okay, we're out here at a home doing a home inspection. And what's interesting about this one, this is a older home. And not only is it an older home, it's kind of had a little light flip to it. So I'm going to go through with the inspector and we're going to talk about some of the issues you have not only with older homes, but homes that have been flipped. Because a lot of these flippers, like I've said, try to put lipstick on a pig, and we want to see what they're doing and what you need to look out for, especially since a lot of times people are waiving inspections now. Now, the buyers have not shown up yet. Some of the issues were not issues. Some things they're worried about is when you come into this area here, it starts to tilt down a bit. I believe this was an addition. The inspector is going to give us that. So Ben, do you think this was an addition they put in later?
Yeah, probably it was. Or a garage conversion.
Yeah, so I didn't know if it was a garage. So many windows.
Yeah,
Plus,
a lot of windows.
a lot of the places here have carports instead of garages.
Yeah. Yeah, could have been a carport from the beginning and then this was added.
Okay.
That will make, once we get up on the roof, we'll make it a better idea once we see what's up on the roof too. Yeah.
Okay. So when you initially walk into a house like this where you can see somebody obviously came in, did some paint, a little bit of flooring, what are some of the things you want to look for?
Well, just, behind the scenes, what you said a moment ago, because everybody who comes in and does a rehab, they're gonna do the obvious stuff, right? They're gonna do the floors, they're gonna do the paint, they're gonna do the countertops,
Right.
they're gonna do the cabinets, and especially in an older home, we really need to see what's behind the surface. So the electrical, what's the condition of that? The roof, the AC, the structural, obviously. So we just need to dig a little bit. We need to dig a little under the surface.
Okay. Okay, well, let's go ahead and dig under the surface and see what we got here.
Typical, especially in older homes.
Yes.
Just because if we took all of this flooring back up again, the concrete would not be level just because
Yeah,
they didn't make it level. There would be cracks, there would be unevenness and things like that that starts to show up. And this particular kind of flooring is really unforgiving as far as hiding anything.
Yeah.
If you put like carpet down over
Yeah.
an uneven floor, it kind of all looks the same, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But this particular kind of flooring, especially the light shining in, you're gonna see literally every little unevenness. Yeah. So if you had like an older floor like this and you wanted to really, really do it perfectly, before you put the flooring down, you would have to level probably the entire floor. You'd have to come in with cement leveler and you would have to literally go over the whole thing and float it and make all that level, which they didn't do. I'm sure they didn't.
No, I can see it. I can see it.
Yeah, they didn't put that level of work.
Yeah, we were just trying to find why the purchase and it was possibly sloping like that.
Yeah.
We were thinking foundation, and I'm thinking maybe not foundation because you have little cracks in the walls.
Right. So the thing we would want to rule out is structural problems. Obviously, we would want to try to determine best we can that there's not a structural problem. And it goes to exactly what you said too, is we're looking for other things that would go with a structural problem. So if you have a structural problem, maybe cracks around the outside, maybe you'd see settlement cracks like up here on the corners, things like that. So, things like that would kind of tell you maybe there's something other than just the normal sorts of stuff going on. But with any house from this time period, you're gonna have some amount of unevenness like that. So
Little things like that.
are gonna, so in a home from this time period, things are definitely gonna happen. Because like I said, if we picked all this flooring up, and it would have been cool to be able to see it. I know they tried to do the rehab here. It would have been interesting to see it before they put the flooring down. But if we pick this up, yeah, I mean, you would see cracks, you would see stuff
Yes.
like that going on. So, but like I said, the biggest thing that we're trying to figure out is any of that possibly structural.
Okay, if you saw that with the flooring with older homes, we have the concrete slabs here, and there's going to be some uneven and some unleveling and some cracking and stuff like that. That's not really a foundation issue, but when someone just goes in and cheaply puts in flooring like that, you can have that issue where it's a little bit wavy, going downhill and other things. Another one to take into consideration is that looked like an addition. Now, not all additions are permitted here in Las Vegas because no one was actually like looking over their shoulders. So you can get a loan on a house that is non-permitted work, but you cannot get a government loan. So if you're dealing with FHA or VA, it's out of the picture. One of the things you can do is go to the county records. Look at an overhead view of what the house is supposed to be. Look at square footage. Does the square footage match? Did you know you can actually get the plans for like 97 to 98% of all the homes here in the Las Vegas Valley at the assessor's office? You can just go right online, type in clarkcountyassessor.gov, I believe, and you can go straight there and see what the plans are. That way you can tell if, let's say, the seller may not have known that there was unpermitted work. The agent doesn't know that they can't use a government loan. A lot of people don't know a lot of stuff, I'm just saying. You can check that out for yourself. Now, this was really interesting. Now, normally, I just want to talk about this, you guys. A house is supposed to come with a stove. On this flip, they are not including the stove. That's probably why it was only conventional and cash. So with VA and FHA loans, you're required to have a stove, and if there is a hole for it, you're required to have a dishwasher. There was no hole, so no dishwasher. Now, there does seem to be some space here for a possible microwave up here. Big thing is, as you can see, there's no venting. So when you have the above stove microwave, if the place doesn't have venting, there's actually two settings. One is to go vent outside the house, and one is to vent out through the top of the microwave. And this is gonna be hard for you to figure out, but sometimes they never change the venting when they put in a new microwave, and it never vents outside. So Spectre was saying that because this is electric, you technically do not have to have any type of a vent hood, even though they put space in here for it. And that's probably because they did put in new cabinets. You can see these are all brand new cabinets.
But you would want one. I mean, everyone would want to have one. It's just, if you have a gas range, you're required to have it, and if you have electric, it's a good idea, but not required.
Okay. Now, if someone wanted to try to vent outside, is it possible to do after the fact?
Oh yeah, you could here. Here you could just simply go up, since there's no second story here. You could go up and just vent it out the roof if you wanted to.
Oh, okay.
Or if you were on an exterior wall. We're not here, so you're on an interior wall. If you were on an exterior wall, you could go out the side to the outside. But yeah, any place you can get access to the exterior, either going up or out, you can put an actual vent to the outside. And in our state, it's not required to vent to the outside. In some states it is.
Okay.
So some states you have to have a cooking hood vented to the outside.
Okay. And how much would something like that cost after the fact?
You know, honestly, for a vent, and since it would be a pretty easy install, probably just a couple $100. Mostly labor.
Really?
Yeah, I think you could. Yeah, just a little bit of labor. Yeah,
Oh,
because
okay.
material-wise, you wouldn't be looking at a whole lot. Just some vent material and things like that, and just probably a couple hours of labor to rough it in. And
Now, they put in not only new cabinets, but new countertops. Now, they kind of look quartz looking, but more than likely this is man-made. Do you know what type of what type of tops these are?
so I maybe don't know exactly as far as the brand. It's something in the quartz family, possibly like a silestone or something like that. Basically, all of these products are man-made from natural materials for the most part. So they're taking things like quartz dust and naturally occurring sorts of stone materials and just compressing it together to make an essentially man-made product from natural materials is what most of these types of products are.
Okay.
And they go by different names. They go by silestone and some other things, but they're all essentially in the quartz family. Appearance-wise, you know, you get different variations. Obviously, this one has some pattern to it. Some of them are completely plain. There's a variety of things, but they do have a very hard, non-porous surface to them. So durability, very, very good. Unlike, say, natural stone, where you would have to seal it because it has pores and things like that are naturally occurring, this is very, very durable.
Okay. And if someone was doing something like this after the fact, let's say they purchased an older home, do you even have an idea of what this type of countertop would cost?
You know what? Like natural stone, it varies a whole lot depending upon the color and the pattern that you want. So it runs about neck and neck with natural stone.
Oh, okay.
So the least expensive quartz is about the same as the least expensive natural stone.
Okay.
And so on and so forth. So the only thing they didn't give us here is cabinet pulls.
Yeah.
Just noticed that. So they did give us some new cabinets.
Yeah. Okay, so you saw that there was some kitchen work done there. Well, they were lucky. They actually went in and did some kitchen work. A lot of guys don't do that. Fairly decent flippers will. Like I kept saying to my buyer, this was a light flip. They didn't go in there and do everything to the nines, but they did do something. As you can see, it was that kitchen, the flooring, and paint. And even with the paint, my buyer did mention they did not feel that it was the best paint job. These are things to look for. About the only thing I could say that I don't know if they did it, but it's one of the things I look for in a house. The ceilings. When this house was built, it probably had popcorn ceilings, maybe, or at some point. The ceilings were actually nicely textured, which means someone went and spent the $2,500 to $4,000 to get that done, and a lot of flippers don't. That's actually one of my marks of quality of a flip. If I know a house is flipped and I look up and I see popcorn ceilings, I already know you done bought a pig in a poke. Okay, so we're at no-go on this house. Inspector stopped at the roof, and this is one of the reasons you want to get an inspection, of course. So when he went up there, some of the things he found was, number one, it had 3 layers on it. So the maximum number of layers for a composite roof is 2. This one had 3, so it was kind of out of code. On top of that, they used the cheapest shingles humanly possible. So a combination of that, some soft spots, we're just calling this inspection off, and my buyers are going to cancel on this one, and rightfully so. There's some other things that notice with this house. So this house here had possibly was an addition, so you can probably see this, but let's come here and see it. So as you come through, so you got this door and you got this door. You got the west side, you got the east side. West side, east side. Yeah, so this is probably an addition, and hopefully it was permitted, possibly not. They were not accepting VA and FHA on this one, just conventional and cash. A lot of work in this city, especially a few years ago, was done non-permitted, which is creating a problem, of course, because of things like this. And one of the things, I don't know if you saw it, the floor actually was not level. And the inspector was talking about that earlier, if you heard it. We build our homes on concrete here, concrete slabs, and it's unforgiving, especially with a floor like this, and most people don't want carpeting anymore. So that creates a little bit of an issue. Okay, well, unfortunately this inspection is over. The inspector went onto the roof and found some interesting things. Number one, there were 3 layers on the roof. You're only allowed to have 2 layers, so that's the first red flag. The second one, he said they used the cheapest roofing material humanly possible, which means you're not going to get a great life out of it. Plus, it was about 10 years old. He found some soft spots and some blown away towels. Well, I don't know if you know this. We get a lot of wind here in Vegas. I mean, it's like Kansas bad wind. So at least you got to see some of the things that are going on with the older house where someone's come in and try to do a renovation. Now, this is one of the positives that no one ever thinks about. You see that? Mailboxes on your home, which is kind of amazing. The majority of this city, mailboxes, are on the end of the corner, and you go down there, and even if you have like an $8 million house, but the older homes, they have, like you see, as he's going down there, if you can see it, the mailbox there, or a mailbox on the house. So that's really interesting, getting your mail delivered to you by living in an older home or buying a new home and having to go down to the end of the street. Okay, so the prologue of this is, of course, to always get an inspection and to look for telltale signs. There were a lot of signs in the house that these flippers were just doing whatever they could to spackle it up to get it sold quickly. That's why my buyer's returning it to the seller. They're done. But here's a rub. We had an appointment for a house afterwards, just in case, because my buyer went and took a look at the house yesterday and she had a little uneasy feeling. So the house we went to, it was the same year. It was only a few minutes away, but what a world of difference. I did not take any videos in this house because it was occupied. It was spectacular. It was not a flip, it was a renovation. It was someone who lived there for the last 3 years or so, who took time and care to put in a proper renovation. As a matter of fact, because the inspector did not finish this inspection, he went over there during our time and we spent like 30 minutes going through the place. He tested all kinds of stuff, which is a great thing. You could bring your inspector along. He even looked at the roof. It was like, this thing's A-okay. Other than some of the others, maybe like deeper tests he could run, he went through everything in that 30 minutes. And boom, we knew it was the one. So we're putting in an offer for us. Keep your fingers crossed that my buyer gets it. So some of the other things you need to think about getting is getting on it and looking at some other videos that I have. And don't forget to subscribe if you have not subscribed and you're interested in this content. And of course, hit that like button to leave a comment. I'm trying to respond to as many comments as I can.